Terror attack alert. Federal government assures of adequate security measures in the Federal Capital Territory. Urges citizens on security consciousness.
As the world continues to explore ways of taming terrorism, Nigeria and Jordan to collaborate for global peace and security.
South Africans commend the Nigerian Tourism Development Corporation's professional approach at selling the country's tourism potential on the international market.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, our focus is on the migrant crisis in Libya against the outcome of the 5th AU and EU Leaders Summit in Abidjan.
The chairman of the African Union Commission, Moussa Faki, at the close of the 5th Summit of the European and African leaders in Abidjan said between 400,000 and 700,000 African migrants are living in camps in Libya, often under inhuman conditions. Faki therefore called for urgency in removing the thousands of migrants, including women and their children, from the camps as he addressed the summit where migration was top issue.
That's right. Now, the AU chief specifically mentioned some 3,800 migrants in one camp in Tripoli, whom he said needed to be removed as soon as possible. Now, the Libyan government has also confirmed that there are 42 of such camps, with some containing even larger numbers of migrants. For instance, in its latest survey, the International Organization for Migration, which is a UN agency, indicates that over 400,000 migrants had been identified in Libya as of October this year.
Now, in expressing their disgust at what many now term the second slavery, the African as well as the European leaders in a communique condemned the inhuman practice and also agreed to accelerate exponentially efforts to repatriate the migrants. Now, the leaders also vowed to combat the crimes committed against them while pledging to do more to help the migrants stranded in the squalid detention centers spread all over Libya.
Of course, the whole world was scandalized and indeed horrified when reports emerged, exclusive reports, by the way, on this freedom project of the CNN, indicating how African migrants, including Nigerians, were being auctioned in slave markets inside Libya. And some of the persons, of course, who were sold fetched not more than $400, which is roughly 150,000 naira, according to the Special Freedom Project.
You're quite right, Kingsley. Well, as reported, also many of the migrants on sale were Nigerians, as you've already indicated, as well as some other nationals on the continent. Now, one of them is Victory. She's 21 years old, who confirmed in that particular video by CNN that rather he was sold at Libya slave auction market. That is why the Nigerian government is concerned. And our President Muhammadu Buhari, at the AU-EU summit in Abidjan, expressed sadness over the sale of mostly Nigerians like animals for a few dollars in Libya, promising to evacuate the remaining Nigerians in the North African country.
Now, on the heels of President Muhammadu Buhari's promise to immediately begin the evacuation of Nigerians who were still stranded in Libya or who had been identified in various detention camps, the Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, Wednesday last week convened a top-level meeting involving relevant agencies to begin to address the situation urgently.
Yes, the Vice President swiftly summoned the National Agency for Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, that's NAPTIP now, also the National Agency Management Agency, that's NEMA, and as well as the National Refugee Commission, and told them categorically that all Nigerians who were stranded in the hostile country, especially those detention camps, will be given an opportunity to return to the country.
Now, one of the resolutions of the AU-EU Leaders Summit that took place in Abidjan speaks to the need to communicate widely to the tens of thousands of vulnerable youths who risk everything, as it were, to get to the Libyan coast and then seek to cross the Mediterranean Sea into Europe. Now, that route has been described in recent times as perhaps the deadliest on earth.
Could say that again, Kingsley.
That's right.
Now, the federal government says it is also imperative to brainstorm on the matter with a view to come up with a well-prepared position on how to tackle the menace. Now, one thing we know is that no fewer than 7,250 Nigerians have been repatriated to the country, while 4,600 others are being expected.
Well, there are some pertinent questions to ask, again, following from the AU-EU summit in Abidjan. How far-reaching were the conclusions at that particular summit? And how might the conclusions in terms of implementation help in mitigating the consequences of the migrant crisis, especially in Libya and elsewhere on the Mediterranean? And what should the international organizations, such as the AU, EU, and of course United Nations, continue to do to facilitate the immediate rescue of the migrants who have been trapped in various detention centers inside Libya, for instance? And ultimately, how can the illicit trade as well as the perilous illegal migration or irregular migration, as some have described it, be halted?
Great questions, really, Kingsley, and some other questions will come as we seek answers from our guests who will be joining us in the course of the discussion on today's edition of the program. We'll try to provide answers to some of these questions of yours. This is Good Morning Nigeria, coming to you live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA, Africa's largest television network. My name is Blessing Abu, and I welcome you to today's edition. And
joining Blessing, of course, to welcome you to today's edition. My name is Kingsley Osadola. We are here live from the Abuja headquarters studios of the Nigerian Television Authority. In the course of the program, we have our regular complementary segments, and these include business review, newspaper, sports, and foreign. We are joining our colleague right now, Ann Jibuno, for the morning news. Hi, Ann.
Hello, Kingsley and Blessing. Good morning, Nigeria. Thanks for joining us on the news. The federal government has assured of adequate security measures to thwart any possible terror attack in the Federal Capital Territory and elsewhere around the country, saying there is no cause for alarm, despite the latest travel advisories by some Western countries. In a statement issued in Abuja, Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, says security agencies have not let down their guards, despite the fact that there has been no terror attack in the FCT since the Buhari administration assumed office. The minister says the terrorists who have been massively degraded and put on the run have been looking for soft targets to attack. This, he says, is the nature of terrorism all over the world, as can be seen in recent attacks in the UK, France and Egypt, among others. He adds that it is the reason why Nigerian security agencies have continued to be on alert, even if their efforts have been largely unobstructive, so as not to disrupt the daily activities of the citizenry. Lai Mohammed maintains that the federal government will continue to take adequate measures to protect the lives and property of citizens and non-citizens alike, even as the military remains unrelenting in ensuring that the terrorists neither regroup nor gain the capacity to carry out organized attacks. To this end, the federal government's sensitization campaign on security with the punchline, "If you see something, say something," would be stepped up on national radio and television to advise citizens to be security conscious and report suspicious people and objects to security agencies. Nigeria and the Kingdom of Jordan have resolved to collaborate more effectively in taking comprehensive measures towards addressing the menace of terrorism and insurgency threatening global peace, security and development. This was at a bilateral meeting between President Muhammadu Buhari and King Abdallah II of Jordan in Aqaba as part of his official visit to the kingdom.
The President, of course, thanked very profusely the King for all the support that he himself personally and Jordan have been providing to Nigeria. You will recall that quite a substantial amount has been donated to Nigeria in the cause of fighting terrorism. A lot of weaponry has been donated by Jordan and the King. So, of course, you know, Mr. President thanked the King for that. And, you know, going forward, they talked about the importance of maintaining this, or building coalitions, regional and international coalitions against, fighting terror.
Meanwhile, more than 3,000 youth converged on Abuja for an annual Peace and Unity Convention aimed at inculcating the right values for raising decent families. Organized by One Ummah, a conglomerate of Islamic organizations, the convention provided an opportunity for interactions on challenges of marital life for good citizenship.
If love is lost, this person will not be unjust to you.
Marriage and spouse selection, as we know it usually, should be a family thing where your parents are involved.
We begin to now look at it. Is it personal choice? Is it family decision?
Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has formally joined the People's Democratic Party, PDP. In a statement by his media office, quoted the former vice president as saying he took the decision after consultations from across the country. Political correspondent Abdullahi Garba Kudu recalls the former vice president was in the PDP before he joined the APC at its formation in 2014. The former vice president, who served with former President Olusegun Obasanjo from 1999 to 2007 under the PDP platform, was also in the Action Congress of Nigeria, ACN, before he rejoined the PDP to contest the 2011 presidential election. Effective monitoring strategy, enhanced staff welfare and training, as well as improving the quality of locally manufactured drugs and medical products remain essential for Nigeria to guarantee safety of health services for her citizens. These are some of the priorities of the newly appointed Director General of the National Agency for Food, Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, Professor Moji Adeyeye.
During my tenure, I will lead the agency toward eliminating substandard, falsified, and unsafe drugs, medical devices, foods, and water.
South Africa has commended the professional approach by the Nigeria Tourism Development Corporation, NTDC, at selling and placing the country's tourism potentials on the international market. This commendation was given by some South African journalists on a visit to Nigeria.
Our focus is growth and development. There are a lot of important people, who are wanting to see growth and development, and not dwelling on negative, because that doesn't take us far.
Well, that's the news for now. Good morning, Nigeria. We'll be back with Blessing and Kingsley after this break.
Unemployment, notably youth unemployment, features strongly in our party's manifesto. We intend to attack the problem frontally through revival of agriculture.
The 30K is going a long way. Actually, I bought an acre of land for 60K like 2012, and presently I have a cassava farm and a yam farm.
Reorganized, trained, and fully equipped, we are the new improved Nigeria Police Force. We fight crime, we bust syndicates. Whatever the crime, wherever the hideout, the Nigeria Police Force will get you busted. Stop kidnapping, armed robbery, murder, pipeline vandalism, and other criminal activities. Be productive. Be security conscious. Join the police force to secure your life and property. This message is from the Nigeria Police Force Public Relations Department. Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC) hereby informs the general public that shareholders that are yet to register for the ongoing free e-dividend registration should approach their banks or registrars to mandate the bank accounts for the collection of their dividend electronically, including unclaimed dividends not exceeding 12 years of issue. The free registration sponsored by SEC closes on 31st December 2017. Furthermore, investors that bought shares of the same company during public offers using different names are given forbearance up till 31st December 2017 to approach their stockbrokers or registrars to regularize their shareholdings in line with the Securities and Exchange Commission's rules on customer identification. Thereafter, all shares not regularized shall be transferred on trust to the Capital Market Development Fund. These are part of the Securities and Exchange Commission's initiative to further improve investors' benefit and confidence in the Nigerian capital market.
By social standards, some careers do certainly look like they pack more punches than others.
You can't believe my father wants me to play football at this age.
Wake up! My Kroboko is handy. What's my business with your son's dream? One doom like that. £50,000 a minute.
And we make the mistake of assuming that it is the career that is better and not the sheer determination and dexterity of those practicing the career.
My talent no life for singing at all.
What will be your talent? I want to be a teacher.
No career is less than the other. Just strive to be the best. Professor John Bull, your rib-cracking comedy, takes a look at career choices this week.
You must not force a child to pursue a career where they have no talent.
I remember you telling Churchill not to go into music.
Oh yes, your brother was a disaster. Over and out.
Brought to you by Glow.
The largest data network. Glow. Unlimited.
All right, now it's time for us to take some business news as the Securities and Exchange Commission gets a new acting director general, plus news from OPEC, that's the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, with regard to production quotas for Nigeria and Libya and other issues. Our correspondent, Aminan Ujem, has details of the stories.
Good morning and glad to have you join us on Business News. The federal government of Nigeria has announced the appointment of Dr. Abdul Zubair as Acting Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission with immediate effect. He was before the appointment the director in charge of external relations in the commission. In view of this, SEC wishes to assure the investing public and all stakeholders, local and international, of its commitment to ensuring an uninterrupted and orderly operations of the markets. Accordingly, the Commission says it's poised to continue to ensure the stability of the Nigerian capital market and sustain the all-time high level of investor confidence, while the Commission awaits the outcome of the assignment of the Administrative Panel of Inquiry. Similarly, trading on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange resumes today, Monday, the 4th of December 2017, as the equities market sustained gains as financial market closed shop last week for the Maulud holidays, as announced by the federal government. The OSHA index advanced 0.62%. Next is a graphic summary. Meanwhile, experts in the housing sector during the Nigerian Integrated Social Housing Conference have commended the efforts of the present administration towards providing housing for all. As they say, it goes a long way in boosting the economic base of any nation.
One of the things we are going to see here is that a number of cooperatives will sign up and begin to operate. So if you're able to demonstrate that it's working, it becomes a big institution to galvanize the affordable housing movement.
And now to oil. Earlier in the week, OPEC ended months of speculations about the future of its market stabilization plan. The current agreement, where OPEC and a 10-nation non-member coalition led by Russia are holding back 1.8 million barrels of crude per day, are set to expire next March. However, the participants agreed to extend that deal through the end of next year in hopes that it will continue draining off the market's excess supply and prop up oil prices. That agreement is great news for Shell drillers in the U.S. because it suggests oil prices have much more upside than downside. Nigeria and Libya have pledged not to increase their output above this year's level. That should help further drain off market excess supply. And that concludes business news on Good Morning Nigeria. The program continues shortly. I am Amina Nushain.
Many thanks, Amina Najim. Up next for us on Good Morning Nigeria is a newspaper review.
TB, our newspaper reviewer, is right here with us for today's edition of the review. Bayo, good morning and welcome to the program. Hope you enjoyed your weekend.
Yes, I did. You?
I did, absolutely.
Sure, Bayo.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. There are a number of stories that come onto the front pages, stories on politics and stories, of course, on the migrant crisis involving slavery and slave trade, plus, of course, stories also on the economy. Let's begin with the Authority newspaper. The lead story for the Authority newspaper comes with a double-decker headline: Western nations cost Libya slave trade. And that story is attributed to President Buhari with a rider seeks scholarship for Nigerian migrants. Western nations cost Libya slave trade, that's Buhari, and seeks scholarships for Nigerian migrants. And that story is also the lead for the Daily Sun newspaper, coming with a kicker: human trafficking. Buhari hits Europe and negotiates new pact on migration with Germany. That story is in greater detail on page 11. Now, that's not the story that is lead for this day, but there are other stories that are also there that we'll take a look at. An earpiece beside the nameplate of Daily Sun newspaper. Daily Sun newspaper comes, this is on politics now. IBB wants PDP. That's the kicker. National chair, not for sale. IBB wants PDP, national chair, not for sale. And other headlines there on the front page says, APC has let Nigerians down. That's Atiku. As ex-VP formally joins PDP. That's on page 12. Federal government considers reforms in police. And the story on terror there, it's a terror attack alert. Abuja safe, says federal government, and counters US and UK. Details of the story can be found on page 11.
Okay, Kingsley. For the leadership, the last story about the attack alert is just below the nameplate for the leadership. No cause for alarm over terror attack alert. This comes from the federal government. And you have two riders to that story. Assures adequate security measures. And another is from Ibrahim Ladaja, who is a member of the APC. Government needs to tighten our borders. This is it captures it. More story, that story particularly continues on page 6. And leading for the leadership this morning, Ibrahim Babangida IBB wants money bags as Atiku rejoins the People's Democratic Party. Says party national chair not for sale, cautions against money-induced convention as ex-VP's return, said it won't stop me from running. This is coming from McCarthy. Well, more details of that story on page 4. It is the lead story for the New Telegraph. PDP national chairman PDP national chairman for highest bidder. This comes from Bangida again. Laments monetization, procurement of position. Atiku returns to PDP. McCarthy hints of presidential interest. Jonathan says, we'll be stronger. Wike, as a River State governor, now denies rift with ex-presidents. More details of that story on pages 2 and 4. Bye.
Well, let's start with security before we go to politics. the President Muhammad Buhari's pronouncement is that Libya government was decimated, and now you have 3 gangs that are holding sway in Libya. Apparently, there is no reckoning government in Libya, and that is why you have the chaos. And before we reach this situation, they were recruiting migrants and arming them to fight one another, and that is why there's been breakdown of law and order. And you will recall that there was a concerted effort led by the United States and other Western countries to overthrow the regime that was there in Libya, and that is the consequence of what we're having. Also across in Jordan, President Muhammad Buhari has identified 3 pedestals in insurgency. He says insidious preaching, extremists among clerics, and also who eventually recruit people for violent insurgent actions. And he has called for a concerted effort jointly to fight this violent extremism. Now, he's citing the examples that has happened in West Africa sovereignty, particularly in the Northeast, where you have collaboration into the multi-joint task force comprising Nigeria, Niger, Chad, Cameroon, and even Benin Republic has joined. And that has gone a long way in decimating the activities of Boko Haram. He has recommended that, and he was speaking at the security meeting invited by King Abdullah II in Jordan. Meanwhile, the Minister of Information has cautioned and advised Nigerians that there is no cause for alarm about security threats. The minister was reacting to alerts and advice by foreign missions, particularly Western missions, about their citizens. And you know, we are heading towards the Unitide period, and insurgents usually look for soft targets, and they are cautioning their residents to be very careful where they go. And the minister reminded everybody that security in the FCT and most part of the country has been very high and alert, but very unobtrusive in the sense that you cannot see the security agents. He says that in the last 3 years of this administration, there have not been attacked on the Federal Capital Territory by the insurgents. So there's no cause for alarm. But then he cautions everybody, you and I, if you see something, say something.
Say everything.
Now, right. Yeah, so Bio, let's take a few headlines from the front page of this day newspaper. This day, the lead story is an investigation, according to the paper. It says how Owando's forensic audit may have cost Guazo his job. Guazo is the Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, is currently on suspension. How Owando's forensic audit may have cost Guazo his job. 3 riders. Finance Ministry denies allegation, says audit to go ahead, and accuses Guazo of cutting away documents and unearths 2014 petition, and appoints Zubair, acting SEC boss. Also a story on the economy there. It says CBN injects $14.2 billion into forex market in 9 months. That story is in greater detail on page 10. And of course, the story below the nameplate of this day has to do with the return of the former vice president to the PDP. Atiku rejoins PDP, no automatic ticket for him, says McCarthy. PDP Ekweremadu welcome his return. It sounds like a broken record, declares APC. And PDP chairmanship post not for sale. We already read that from the others. So, Bio. There's a story here about the nameplate of the Authority newspaper. It's one of the headlines. There are 4 headlines there, but let's take this one. The story is indicated on page 11. Toure Yaradua Cancer Center abandoned. That center is on the way to the airport. That's on the Yaradua Expressway to the right if you're leaving the city gate towards the airport.
Yes, let's start with that human interest story. In fact, the story too was published by the Daily Independent, and it says that the cancer center has been abandoned. And when they went there, they found 2 security men, and they said they were employed when the place was invaded. Apparently, people who made promises at the launch in, I think it was 2014, 2013, I think they have failed to redeem it. And I think the best thing to do is publish the names of the persons and the amount they promised, because it is the public domain, and they have to redeem their integrity by redeeming the pledges they made. Apparently, you recall that just only last weekend, the National Hospital had its arsenals fortified with cancer equipment. If we had equipment for the International Cancer Center, we now have many more centers to treat cancer.
All right, Bayo Atebi, that will be much we'll be able to take on the review this morning. We want to see you again tomorrow.
Tomorrow will be another day.
You're watching Good Morning Nigeria. Time now for a break, and when we return, we'll kick off with that conversation, taking a look at the migration crisis in Libya, as well as the new face of slavery out there.
The Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, the Made in Nigeria campaign. In the midst of unprecedented multiple challenges, our great country Nigeria, as Africa's largest economy, is surely marching on to a new era of all-round prosperity, especially through re-engineered and diversified economy, powerfully driven by the change agenda of President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR.
We will patronize local entrepreneurs. We will promote the manufacturing powerhouses. Our objective is to make Nigeria a new manufacturing hub.
It is not time to complain. It is time to join the campaign. It is time for economic recovery, growth and diversification of our economy. By Made in Nigeria.
Hate speech is not a joke. It incites genocide and crimes against humanity. Most of Africa's civil wars are caused by hate speech from one tribe against another. We don't want it here. The Nigerian government stands firm against hate speech.
I was distressed to notice that some of the comments, especially in the social media, have crossed our national red lines by daring to question our collective existence as a nation. This is a step too far.
One nation bound in freedom, peace and unity.
Nigeria, one nation, one people.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
With high expectations to perform against the top six, Brighton will be looking to use their home ground advantage over the Anfield Reds, who've become motivated after a spate of much-needed victories. The world's most wanted league, Brighton versus Liverpool, Saturday 2 December on Kwese Free Sports for the Fan.
Still watching Good Morning Nigeria. Now let's join Leah Katumba Batunde for this background report to kickstart our conversation this morning.
Libya, one country that has made headlines in recent times following global outrage after reports emerged that blacks are sold in open markets. The victims are all headed one direction, Europe, in search of fortunes presumed better than back home. The proximity of the North African country to Europe and the instability there makes it an attractive route for illegal migration. Most of these migrants take on these perilous journeys to escape unemployment and poverty, but unfortunately end up in wrong hands. A large number of the victims are said to be Nigerians. Some of the returnees gave graphic details of the horror they passed through while in Libya.
It was as if we are just a slave. You see a Nigerian now moving in the streets. They'll just catch the person and put the person in prison without nothing.
They beat us with pipe. If you check some of my back, I have some injury in my back. Very, very serious, critical. They beat us roughly.
I was working, I was this is exhaust and the radiator. I was repairing their car. Somebody that teach me the work I'm doing is dead now. They shoot him, he died.
Stressing yourself, cleaning and everything, and not still you receive insult. At the end of the day, you won't get pay. You might work, then the next thing, the person will call police for you to arrest you.
The trafficked persons have been returning in droves to the country after the illegal route proved harder than imagined, 7,500 and still counting. The disturbing pictures and videos stirred protests, and heads of government have started to respond to accusations that hundreds of thousands of people are still trapped in Libyan slave markets. At the just concluded EU-AU summit, leaders from both sides brainstormed on how to ensure proper investment in Africa that would create ample job opportunities for African youths who are the ones at the center of the illegal migration.
And in fact, so angry,
were all the countries that they felt it was appropriate to have a separate declaration, because there's going to be a declaration, an Abidjan declaration from this meeting, a separate declaration on the slave issue in Libya. But of course, the Libyan delegation was keen to point out that the government is in no way responsible for what's happening in Libya, that the government is going to do everything possible to get to the bottom of that and to bring to justice perpetrators, you know, and so that Libya as a country and as a people shouldn't be targeted.
While the Abidjan Declaration by the EU and AU leaders seeks to halt the migratory pattern that presently has able-bodied youth streaming out to oblivion with no certainty of getting to the promised land. Good Morning Nigeria today will be looking at the push and pull factors with a view to charting a course that will permanently address those negative migration issues.
I address all the Nigeria girls or all the Nigeria boys. You should not go Libya. Libya is not good enough. Some people die for prison, throw him.
Right. There, Katumba Batunde, blessing again. You can see and hear the horror tales from some of the returnees. These are persons who have lived to tell their story.
Well, exactly as you've said.
All right. We have guests with us here in the Abuja studios, as well as from Ibadan and Benin for now. Let's at this time welcome the Comptroller General of Immigration, it's Mohammed Babandede, CG Immigration. A pleasure to have you join us on the program.
Good morning, Nigerians.
Okay. And also here with us in the Abuja studios, familiar face on Good Morning Nigeria, of course, the former Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Joe Keshi. Ambassador Keshi, pleasure to have you with us. Okay. And blessing, we have two other guests.
We have other guests joining us, like you've indicated now. Joining the conversation is the Chairman House of Representative Committee on Ethics and Privileges, Honorable Osai, Nicholas Osai. Honorable Osai was under Speaker Dogara's entourage to Italy recently on the same issue. We'd like to welcome Honorable Osai to the studio this morning.
Thank you.
In our Benin Network Center, we'd like to welcome another familiar face on the program, Edo State Deputy Governor, Honorable Philip Shaibu. Honorable Philip Shaibu, good morning to you.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yes, we have another.
Yeah, we have another guest. We indicated is joining us from our Ibadan Network Studios. The guest who is joining us from our Ibadan Network Studio, his name is Sadiq Adeyemo. Sadiq Adeyemo is a returnee from Libya and now an anti-trafficking campaigner. Sadiq Adeyemo, alias Mr. Planner. Mr. Planner, a pleasure to have you join us on Good Morning Nigeria today.
Yeah. Good morning, Nigeria.
All right, Mr. Planner, thank you very much. We'll come back to you, but let's begin with our guests in the Abuja studios. Honorable Osai, Nicholas Osai, you were on the Speaker's entourage to Italy on this same subject of illegal, irregular migration, and indeed the ordeal that Nigerians endure. What did you find?
Yeah, I think it was a successful journey being led by Mr. Speaker to Italy to interface with the Italian government on issues of women empowerment and trafficking. I believe the issue was discussed extensively. The important personality involved in terms of the security, the immigration department, they presented a paper on issues on how the issues can be tackled, and they're looking at it from the point of view of looking at the root causes of how people, the irregular migrations was also addressed. The Edo State Governor was also there to put in more, input in and strategy on how the issues will be tackled. I think it was exhaustively discussed, and Speaker raised a very, very important issue. Those of them that are involved in Italy, in terms of Italian indigenes who are involved in this human trafficking, should be well prosecuted. I think those were the issues that was critically looked into. And the security networks in Italy, both the immigrations, were also there to put in their input on strategy, how these mafia groups can be stopped, from. The issue was also looked at, how these people were, cajoled to travel to Italy. Those are issues was also looked at. Edo State was one of the critical areas that was looked into. How people, use voodoo means in making sure that these people swear into this issue to be able to transform them, transport them to Italy. Without them, these are issues that you bring somebody, you take him to Italy, and you make sure he swear a voodoo so that he will not be able to release the secret. I think those are the critical areas. And how these women, when you bring them back to Nigeria, how will they be empowered? It's an issue that was also addressed, which the Italian government promised to also be of help.
What did you have the opportunity of interacting with Nigerians who are themselves victims of this voodoo trap, or who have also had the misfortune of being enslaved or otherwise?
I think one of them delivered a paper in that summit too. He exposed a lot of issues, how these trafficking cabals, the means and ways through which they use in making sure they subject Nigerians and other Africans to inhuman treatment in terms of slavery. I think opportunity was given to in Nigeria.
What were the details of the presentation?
The presentation highlighted how these people were taken from the root place, probably in Nigeria or other African country, and transported and subjected to a situation whereby they have to stay as slaves, by paying back money involved in prostitution. Those are key areas that the lady was able to highlight, and also, expose how some of the Italian securities or immigrations collaborate with these cabals. I think the crux of the matter that the speakers and the Edo State governor looked into is that the officials or the officials that are involved in this network should be well prosecuted by the Italian government, not only looking at the destination, that is where these people have been trafficked from, but the destination point must also be looked into in terms of the Italians that are involved in this human trafficking process.
All right, thank you very much, Honorable Osai. Let's get to the Benin Network Center, where we have Honorable Philip Shaibu, where he's seated in Benin studio. Honorable Philip Shaibu, let's take a feel of what the Edo State government is actually involved in this critical situation of bringing back trafficked persons, and what's our position generally? How do we hope to resolve this issue?
I can't hear you well, but I think the last word was how to resolve the issue. If that is what I heard, I think to resolve it, really, all hands need to be on deck, both state and the federal government. I think this is beyond poverty, and the issue of greed also is there. And it's so pathetic to see that Nigerians are now being on this cartel trail of slave trading. And the most negative part is that we have an African country being the main champion for slave trade in Africa, and using their own brothers and sisters to trade. But one thing we need to look at is why government needs to wake up to its responsibility, because first and foremost, this is failure on the side of government. And if past governments have done what they need to do with our natural resources and human capacity, we won't get to the level we are today. I feel sad and I want to cry at times when I see things like this happen. But we have been trained not to lament, but to look for solution. For we as Edo State, we are most hit in this cartel business. And that is why Mr. Governor and Mr. Speaker were in the program in Libya to look for solution. We had our own program here where we invited the same Libya government to a seminar here where we were able to resolve a lot of issues. But beyond resolving these issues, what we have done as a government now is to set up a committee and get all these Edo people back to Edo State. And we have set up a training and skill acquisition center, which are in turn we will train and retrain these people and give them startup pack to start their life once again. And for some of them that are graduate, some of them that are employable, we give them jobs, and some of them that are not employable, we also add them to the training program we have set up. But beyond the training program and this, it all tells us that we need to look inward. We need to fix the system. We need to create an enabling environment to create that a sense of belonging, sense of ownership, not only to state but to the country. Because what we are seeing today is not something that a country called Nigeria should be part of. Libya to Nigeria, compare the economy indices, compare the natural resources, compare the human capacity that we have. Nigeria should be the hub for those to run to, not for we to be running out. So I think we need to collaborate with federal government, with international agency beyond declaration to really hit this thing head on. I see element of greed, which is just about 20 to 25%, but the major thing that has resulted to this cartel and this business is poverty and education. So we need to look into this thing. And for we as Edo State, we are looking into basic education, morals, teaching, and beyond that, getting vocational education and skilled labor. So that at the end of the day, these people will be armed to fetch for themselves. People will not come to deceive them into jobs that are not existing or life that is not existing. And this greed mentality in our youth, get-rich syndrome mentality, will also be erased. I think I want to also thank NTA and other social media. We need to re-educate. We need to do programs that will actually show what the evil behind this slave trade, the evil beyond this cartel, so that public awareness will also help us, because this thing is shameful, and in the millennium days, we are going back to slave trade. We are going back to, this is second slavery, inhuman things against each other. So for me, I think beyond declaration, beyond legislation, we need to physically start doing those things that we need to do as government and provide that enabling environment for all of us to actually go. Take politics out of it. This has nothing to do with politics. We need to look at it on. It could be your sister. It could be my sister. How will you feel if even this is your daughter that is being treated the way we are saying it on social media? For me, it's not something we should take with levity. It's something we should take very seriously. Religious body, traditional rulers, we should all come out. It is pathetic to have situations like this still existing in this country.
Tribal, let's, before we quickly bring in all the guests, you said something about issue of poverty being instrumental to some of this movement to Europe. I'm sure that's not the only issue that will be there to actually be what will push people to actually go on this particular level.
Right.
I
think that Mr. Deputy Governor, will return to you in the course of the conversation to begin to deal again with some of the causative factors and how proper messaging might help along the lines that you have suggested. But let's bring in Mr. Planner, aka Mr. Planner, Sadiq Adeyemo, who himself saw some hell, as it were, in Libya and is now an anti-trafficking campaigner. Planner, tell us your story.
Yeah, good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, Africa. My name is Sadiq Adeyemo, Mr. Planner, being an artist, hip-hop artist, that's what I do. I think before I proceed, I would like to, do it the way I do it on my normal campaign. People do think something from above. They don't look at it from the way it's started. Like I do tell my people, I said, life is not hard the way we all think it is. We just don't grab the way they live doing all the days. Because when something happened back then, they all load up together, stick up together, believe in one another. Time goes to pass and things are no more falling order. So let's look up to our Father, saying the Lord's Prayer. Then we turn up to our leaders because we're seeking for the better. Because when I look out there, what I see is a bad weather. We're living like whatever, however, moreover, we had nothing to rather. I think I need a feather, or we all need a feather, to fly up to the sky and say hello to our Father. Like I used to say, yeah, but we need to, we need to pray to God, and He needs to forgive us. My story goes like this. In 2014, I was, in Lagos. I was born and brought up in Lagos. So I was called by a friend of mine. It's like, Mr. Planner, what's up with you? You're an artist. You're very good in what you're doing. Can you, don't you think of, doing something greater? Like, you being in Nigeria right here, do you think it's going to be okay for you? And don't you just think of, going out there, then from there you can seek for a better record label that can sign you in, and from there you can, become a popular pop artist, like, you're very good. And I was like, it's cool. It's cool if I have that kind of opportunity too. So I was like, okay, I'm going to connect you with an uncle of mine. And I said, your uncle, where is he? He said he's in Europe. I was like, Europe? Where in Europe? He said in Malta. I said, okay, then you can help me do that. Then when you do that for me, just let me know, feed me back on how it goes. So I got his call back was like 2 weeks later after the conversation. Then he was like, Mr. Planner, take this number, just call my uncle, speak with him, and he can, know how you can fly to Europe, and, you can start your music, and it's going to be great for you. So at first I appreciate that. I was like, wow, it's cool. So I called the uncle, and I was like, this is Mr. Planner. I got your number from your brother, and I think he has told you what I really need. He said, okay. Then what you have to do now is, do you have an international passport? I was like, no, I don't have international passport, but I think I can get one. He said, okay, just recover an international passport, then get a sum of 350,000 naira. I was like, okay. So he sent me an account number where I'm going to send the money to. Then I rushed down to get my international passport. What gave me the move then was like, I was thinking, I was like, okay, music is something that I need to take globally. I need to take it on international level. So I called him back, and I told him I have my international passport now, and how is it going to be? He said I should just send the money to him. So I sent the money to his account that he sent to me. Then I was waiting for him. So on a very good day, he called me. He was like, Planner, prepare yourself. Maybe 1 week or 2 weeks time, you're going to be traveling. I was like, wow, why would I be traveling without a visa? Do you already got me a visa, or do I still need to seek? He said, was like, no, don't worry about that. It has been worked on. Don't worry, I'll let you know what's up. Then I was like, okay, let's see. So I go back to my own brother. I was like, my brother, is he advisable to travel without a visa, or does it exist, like traveling without a visa, or someone to get you a visa even when you don't know anything about it? So my brother was like, there's nothing that cannot happen in Nigeria, or there's nothing that can't happen, so just stick to it and see what's up. So I called the brother like a week after. Then he was like, you're gonna be traveling in 3 days time. So I still go back and ask him, bro, what's up? What about the visa? I need to have my visa. If I'm traveling in 3 days time, then I have to have a visa. He was like, don't worry, we've sorted that out, and I would like to tell you, you're not gonna be flying in Lagos, you're gonna be flying in Kano. Wow, Kano. I said, okay. Okay, no problem. So I get up myself, and I'm back on the journey. Like 3 days later, he said I should get the bus to Kano. Then from Kano, he will link me up. So when I got to Kano that day, I connected him again. I contacted him again. Then he was like, he's gonna connect me with someone that is gonna pick me up from Kano. Then from Kano, then I can fly. So when the person, got to me, I explained myself. I gave him my international passport, expecting him to give me a visa that I can, from there get to the airport. Then it was not like, we're going to my residence first, like we're going to his home first before we go to the airport. So when I get there, it was already getting late. And I was like, what is happening here? Then I have to call the brother. He was like, don't worry, just relax your mind. He will take care of it. That man you are with there will take care of it. Then from there, we around 9, 10 o'clock, later at night, I just saw some people. They just walked in. They were covered here, they were covered on the face, and they were like, hey, you now, we have to go. Go where? Where are we going to? And that was the last thing I think I could understand, because we were pushed in a bus where it's all covered around it. Then I was like, what's going on here? Oh my God. What I was first thinking, it was like maybe it's Boko Haram people, because then, Boko Haram is something that is out there, and I was like, oh my God. So the next morning when I woke up, when I woke up and I can see the sky, I was, we were pushed out of the box. Then I asked someone there, hey bro, what's going on? Where are we? What's happening here? Then the brother was like, we're not in Nigeria anymore. We're in another country. I was like, another country? What happened last night? And why are we here? It was like, we're traveling to Europe. I'm like, traveling to Europe? Where exactly are we? Then the guy was like, we are in Niger, Agadez. I was like, Agadez. Okay. So what's going to happen next now? So I said, bro, let me just tell you, the real fact is that that person that connects you with that man you met last night is a smuggler. That you're going to be traveling to Europe, yes, but it's going to be by road. I was like, oh my God, no, I don't think I can do this. By road? I never heard of something like this before. So from there, I met some other people. They were just coming in, boys and girls in that place. We were many, and I was like, oh my God, what's happening here? So the first Monday, when they wanted to, push people to the desert, from the desert to get to Libya, I was called among them. But I told the head of the camp that day, I said, I can't do this. Please, can you just take me back to my country? I can't do this. They was like, oh, you just have to go. Then I just told him, if there is something I need to do to you that will make you take me back to my country, so I can, but I just think, I don't think I can do this. Then he was like, okay, if you can't do it, then sit down. I'll talk to you later. Then he packed those people, and they all left, like 7 to 8 earlocks that night, Monday night. So I was there. So that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm not seeing anybody. I'm just the only person there. Then on Thursday, some other people were coming in again, boys and girls, man, old and young. So I was like, what's going to be happening here? I saw someone, I was like, please, do you work here? He said, yes. Please, I'm not hitting for like 3 days now. What's going on? What's my offense? I was like, the head said you refused to travel, and you said you don't want to go, so you're on your own here. So I was like, okay. So the next Monday, because I think they work Mondays, one Monday to another Monday. So every Monday they moved. So the next Monday, the ALOCs came in and they were like, they are packing people. So I have no choice then, because I'm just there, no food and nothing. I'm just... So I think the better thing for me is to just accept to go with them. Maybe then from there I can have some food to eat and to be okay on myself. Then I have to pray to God. I can't even call anybody anymore because I'm not more in Nigeria. My number, my phone is not going, and I'm just there. So I decided to go myself, but I have that in my mind that if God could, see me through this kind of journey, then I think I have a story to tell. So if this is the way God has planned it for me, let me just go, just for me to survive. Because if I stay there, I'm just gonna die of hunger, and no one will know even where I am. So I embark on the journey. That night we were on the desert. We were on the desert. We were covered on the face. We were on the back of the ALOCs. And the funniest part is that I believe every one of us have seen the way the journey is on social media and everything like that. We are not even sitting in the ALOCs. We are sitting on the stick, because the ALOCs is already full with loads. So you just have to shoot some stick in the ALOCs, and you have to sit on that stick. Like your bomb is outside, you just have to be yourself. And if you fall, and one thing I can hear from those people, they speak Arabic. They don't speak English. They speak little Arabic. So me being a Muslim, I can understand little of the Arabic. They're trying to tell us that if you fall, you're on your own. No one is going to stop to check you. So I just have to be strong and focused. So we embark on the journey. The next morning, we were stopped by some customs, and I think they were trying to settle the customs on the desert there. They're trying to settle them, and then later we were asked to go. It was very cold. It was January period, 2015 January. Very, very cold. Everywhere is cold. We can even see a lot of people, you know, shivering. When you even turn your head down, you can see a lot of water coming from your nose. But you have no choice. You have to keep going. So on the fourth day, we get to a certain point where we were blocked by some armed robbers on the desert, where the driver have to leave us there and, you know, just find his way to escape. So we were there alone. The armed robbers, you know, they attacked us, you know, get all the money on us, you know, so our mobile phones and other things, valuable things like that. So we were there. Like, I talked to some people there. I was like, guys, why do we have to do this to survive? Now we are here. Nobody's with us. No driver, no coordinator, nobody. So what are we going to do to escape ourselves now? We just have to keep praying to God. A lot of girls are even fainting already. Like 2, 3 girls are fainting. I'm just trying to arrange them, you know, to make them okay. But some people are even telling me, hey, you're on your own. Just make sure you are fine on your own. You don't need to. I was like, this is my brothers and sisters. Let's do our best and to make them okay. So later at night, the driver came back on its own. I was like, have they gone? We're like, yeah, they have gone. Okay. Where are the remaining people? Some people has already lose hope. Like maybe the driver is not coming back. They left with their barefoot, with their legs. They wanted to start trekking. So the remaining of us that were there with some people that I'm trying to compromise that if we can't go forward, I think we should try and go back. I think that is better because I don't think we can use our barefoot to walk to Europe. So then the guy picked us up again, and then we embarked on the journey. It's a very long story. You know, sometimes in the afternoon, the sun is very hot. When you don't have anything to cover your body, you just have to be there, just keep praying, and, you know, we keep moving and moving. We face a lot of challenges on the way. Sometimes when we get to a certain point where the little food they gave to us finished, we don't have anything to eat again. We're just there, hungry. So like I say, there was a girl, a very little young girl around like 18, 17 years old. She fainted beside me. She dropped. Nobody knew she has dropped. I was like, this girl is not breathing anymore. I'm trying to stop the driver, but the driver is not stopping. So then a lot of things happen on the desert. To cut the long story short, we get to Sabah. After 2 weeks on the journey, we got to Sabah. Then from that Sabah, we were truncate. And truncate means kidnapped. We were kidnapped by the Libyans people. We were put in a house. Then you have to start calling your people. If you have any number on your head that you can call them. Then they send you money. Then you can go. So I called my brother. Then I told him, now this is where I found myself. Can you help me? Then I think they try to connect back to that guy that connected me with the guy, but the number is not going anymore. That my friend that connected me then, the number is not going anymore. I think he has to off his phone because he already know what he has done to me. So I called my mom. They should help me if they can get some money to send so that I can leave the place. My mom is very broke. She don't even have that amount that we were asking. So I just keep praying to God. And one morning, we were told that we need to go and work in the farm if you can pay the money. So we were on our way to the farm when God rescued me. Because when we were on our way to the farm, some policemen stopped those men in Sabah that day. Like, they're trying to search and asking them, who are those people? Where are they going to? They speak in Arabic, you know. So they were like, they want to work in the farm. So they were like, they have to give us some cutlass so that we can start working. They were talking to the policeman. That was how I talked to one or two guys. Said, bro, we can find our escape route now. This is the only opportunity that we have to escape from these people. And that was how we have to run from the farm to some forest. Then from forest, then like 3 days later, I found myself on the road, one route, then on the express. Then from that express, I got some Nigerian that I talked to. that day. I was like, this is how it goes. I'm from Nigeria, like you. Can you help me? Then that was how I got someone that took me to an office, a place where I can start working. Because before I left Nigeria, I'm an IT student. I'm an engineer. I repair phone, I repair laptop, apart from my music career. So I think that was how I got a help. I stayed with that guy, that Libya brother, for like 3 months before they started war. They started destroying the streets of that brother. So then I have no other choice. I was truncated again. And that was how I got to the Mediterranean Sea. I worked for the Mediterranean Sea for like 1 week. Then that brother, on a very good morning, he joined me with those people that wanted to cross the sea. So that was how we got to the Mediterranean Sea. Then from the Mediterranean Sea, we spent like 8 hours when I can see like 100 plus we're on this Mediterranean Sea. But what I just know is that 80% of us are Nigerian. So after 7 hours on the Mediterranean Sea, some are fainting, some are dropping, some are vomiting, pooing, some are, some quarrel, a lot of things, challenges on that Mediterranean Sea that I see with my eyes, that I confirmed with myself. It's really, really, really deadly. It's deadly there. So like 10 hours later, we got rescue from the Italian government, and that was how I got to like 3 days on the sea with the Italian rescue. Then we were dropped at I think Italian. I forgot the name of that the states. So that was how I got to Europe. Then when I got to Europe, safe and alive, I looked up to my God and I promised myself that I need to tell this story to my Nigerians, my fellow Nigerians. Then when I get to Italy, I decided to do my thing, the little way I can do it, my music thing. I try to seek for help. It's not easy there. It's not easy. When you're not from Europe, you're not from Europe. You are black, you are black. It's not easy. Our brothers are there suffering. Some are living on the ground. Some are, it's really deadly there. It's just deadly.
All right. Sadiq Adeyemo, it's all pin drop silence with us here in the Abuja studios, and of course with the Deputy Governor of Edo State, who is with us at the Abini Network Center. We'll take a short break now. When we return, we'll continue with the conversation.
Chief. Good morning, sir. You're here already?
No. Now my spirit day, my body day for house. What kind of question is that? Were you not the one that fixed this meeting for 8 a.m.? You are now coming by 10 a.m. and start asking me jab questions.
But Chief, now, I'm sorry. Don't you also go late for meetings sometimes? You know now, African time.
No more African time. And no more pancaking of face during office hours. At the end of the day, we will lose valuable time. We will not make progress. If we want to move this nation forward, we must treat business as business and respect time. Change begins with me.
Thank you, sir. I'm sorry. Can we go for the meeting now, Chief?
Better.
This message is brought to you by the National Orientation Agency in conjunction with the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
If you hear a bomb explosion or gunshots of an active shooter, that might be a terror attack. At such times, always remember 3 action words: run, hide, report. Don't try to run towards the terror scene to save the situation, because there might be a second bomb blast or another attack. Run far away and take cover. Make sure you are safe first. Yes, it is in our nature to sympathize over the hurt, but remember, only trained personnel can help in such situations. When in a secured environment, promptly call relevant authorities and help will come. For anonymous reporting, call 09630-3250-5 or 0813-2222-106. If you see something, say something. Nigeria unite against terrorism. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
If you just joined us, the program is Good Morning Nigeria. Before the break, I'm sure the heart-rendering reports by Sadiq reliving his moment on the trip to Europe, I'm sure got everyone actually in a sober mood. But that is the reality for young persons as well as other persons who are trying to seek greener pastures, if indeed the grass is greener on the other side. Well, we'd like to introduce another guest join us from Lagos before we continue with the next set of questions. We'd like to appreciate waiting in the studio already, Senior Special Assistant to the President of Foreign Affairs and Diaspora, Mrs. Abike Dabiri Erewa. Good morning to you, Mrs. Erewa.
With you this morning.
Yes, we'll come back to you, but quickly, let's get to the CG immigration. Now, from Sadiq's story, it's evident the borders are just free for our people to actually move around and just in their own numbers. Most of the issues have actually been put at the foot of immigration. That's what really is this movement that is so free for every one of us to just get out like that.
Well, thank you so much. It's not a free movement, but I want Nigerians to know that we are a member of a free movement community. Nigeria is a member of the ECOWAS, and as members of ECOWAS, there's a free movement within the sub-region. This is what our forefathers have signed, but not intention of people to be trafficked and exploited. The intention is to strengthen our relationship, develop the economy, so that we can live as we were before the borders were created. I want you to know that the border between Nigeria and Niger, Nigeria and Benin, Nigeria and Cameroon are artificial borders. They are borders created by the colonial administration that cut across cultures and religion together. That's why our forefathers in ECOWAS said, look, we need to break the borders. If you look at the Schengen system, like in Europe, the idea is that there is no border, that people can move freely within that sub-region. So in our own side, if a Nigerian is leaving to, the route he's talking about is the major route for trafficking and smuggling. Nigeria, Niger, Libya. 94% of people who are either trafficked or smuggled or irregular migrant pass through that route, 94%. Algeria is very top because of the crisis. They were very top on migrants, so they started with Libya. I would like to say that that mobility from Nigeria to Niger, once you have a ECOWAS passport, which is easy to get, passport, Nigerian passport, like the way he stated, he has the right to enter Niger without a visa. But our responsibility is to make sure that if we see sign of exploitation, you can return back the people. We have done, this year alone, highest, we have done 5,000 something people to be returned. The Niger government has also shown commitment this year that they are returning people who have gone. But majority of people who are now in Libya are people who have traveled long time ago on their way to Europe. Nobody goes to Europe, nobody goes to Libya to stay. Libya is only a transit. It's a transit for Nigeria. But unfortunately, when you stay longer, even Agadez become a destination. Agadez, which is supposed to be just where you pass. So I would like you not to look at it in terms of free for all. If you listen to his story, it's a story where individually move, pass in 2, 3, converge in a large number in Agadez and move. That's how it is. And I'm glad to say that we have done a movie, which NTA is airing, called The Missing Step. The Missing Step is a movie which portrays exact story he portrayed. Recruitment stage, how people are recruited. When you are going to be recruited, you will be offered, they will look at your vulnerability, your position, offer you opportunities. When they want to take you out, they take you individually out and converge you outside on transit. When you are on transit, it is that time you begin to know that, look, it is not the normal journey. You can be enslaved. They can, by force, by coercion, they can even beat you. But Libya has become a destination, unfortunately. I was opportune in 2000 to go to Libya to see the issue. So the issue is more than a border. When people want to travel through a free zone, we should allow them to travel. But if we see evidence that the people are in large number, they are led by somebody, like a woman led by one person, they cannot talk their travel document with them, we can return. And I'm saying we have returned like 5,000. Not only that, but also officers. There's connivance in Libya and in Nigeria. We have been punishing officers. Just last few weeks, we have sent some officers to cross river. Some officers also participate, they facilitate They get money from people to travel.
How do they facilitate this?
The best way it is done, if you see somebody traveling with 10 people, and if you take money, you close your eyes, you allow them to cross the border, that's facilitation. Even though they have travel document, even though they have a course travel document, even though they go to Niger, you know Niger does not require a visa. We have told our officers, stop that travel. Legally, you say, oh, I'm covered because they have a course travel certificate. They are going to Niger. They don't need a visa. But what you see on ground, the evidence shows that these people are not going to stay in Niger.
Is it necessarily the case, CG, just before we bring in Ambassador Cash, is it necessarily the case that perhaps instances of connivance or collusion involving some of your men and officers may have facilitated or accelerated the huge numbers that we are seeing? We are talking about tens of thousands of Nigerians. No. Yes, you have had a few catches, but tens of thousands of Nigerians.
No. What you have to look at, these 10 and thousands of Nigerians have been in Libya. I told you, have been in Libya 2,000 when we were selected, 4 of us to go to Libya after September uprising in Libya. Nigerians were constituted and Africans were constituted challenge to Libyan situation. Migrants who want to travel, but they are held up in Libya during Gaddafi. So they were constituting a great threat to Libyan security. That's why when the then President Gaddafi spoke to then our President Olusegun Obasanjo, 4 of us were selected to go to Libya and facilitate. We were expected like 500. Unfortunately, we brought around 5,000 at that time, 2,000 in Libya. So already a large number of people are already in Libya, and they gathered in small number. What wasn't the situation, the number becomes much higher. They could not cross because of the conflict. Migrants have been caught in conflict of Libya, so they cannot move. We cannot say that those who are open and they move this year. They have been moving for many long time, and they go to Niger. From the Niger, they continue.
All right, Comptroller General of Immigration, thanks a lot. We'll return to you in the course of the conversation. Ambassador Joe Keshi, what do you make of all of this?
Very listening to Mr. Planner, I think it was a very pathetic story. But I think I want to say 2 things quickly. Number one, migration is a natural phenomenon. And if you look at the history of migration itself, it's not something that started today. The second thing is that what we're experiencing today is also as a result of the breakdown of law and order in a place like Libya. When Gaddafi was there, these things were going on, but they were all limited, they were arrested, and various countries were contacted to take their people away because he did not allow these, crossing over to Europe. But I think the whole thing escalated when there was a breakdown of law and order and no government, really nobody in charge. And of course, it became a free-for-all. And the more people see people crossing to Europe, they just think that they too can attempt to, to go. And of course, the second point is that there's lack of information and awareness on the part of the people who are traveling out here to places like, Europe. They think that life in Europe is so beautiful that once you get there, your life is made. And those who live there sometimes give the wrong impression as to what life is like. And so everybody is attracted to go. But we must also not rule out some of the factors. Forget all these stories of voodoo, as distinguished Rep said, and the rest of them. The truth of the matter is that when you look at the history of migration, anytime a country is seriously challenged, people tend to begin to migrate. When you look at between the post-war World War I, II, you find that a lot of Irish and Italians, migrated to America. A lot of Russian Jews also migrated to America. I'm sure many of us have seen many of them on these big, large ships arriving in New York, especially, and the rest of them. But the major thing we need to begin to focus on is that if we do not begin to address the problem from home, it's not having a meeting with the Italians. The Italians are not going to help us. We need to begin to do things at home, create jobs as we speak. No state government in this country is creating jobs, and that's the honest truth, whether we like it or not. You cannot you know, boast, as some governors do, that they've created 150 jobs in a state that probably has 5 million or so unemployed people. And so when people cannot do things or do not see a future, they begin to look for where they think that the pasture is greener, and they begin to want to, you know, want to move. So we're talking of, and I'm saying this because I believe on Friday, you guys here did you held a conversation with the doctors. Yes, now, those ones are living illegally, but they are living. That is the honest truth, because they find that they are not getting satisfaction and enough. They are not being well paid or well treated as doctors, and many of them are living. So whether you are living legally or illegally, the point is that they are living because they do not find the condition conducive enough to carry out their profession.
All right, Ambassador Joe Keshi, thank you very much. Let's return to Lagos, where we earlier introduced Honorable Mrs. Abike Dabiri Erewa, who was, of course, a member of the House of Reps and now still dealing with the same issues. Tell us a sense of what you are saying now. Of course, with the reports on slave trade and slavery, there would appear to be an aggravation of the circumstance of Nigerians who have embarked on illegal migration. But how acute is this, and of what help might the outcome of the AU-EU summit in Abidjan be to all of this?
Well, good morning. And first, I'll tell you that I don't want to forget, Planner has released a song called No Place Like Home. So I hope Planner will be given the opportunity to give us a rap of that song. And I think it's a good song, No Place Like Home. But I'll take it from Ambassador Keshi's contribution. Yes, the issue of slave trade in Libya didn't start today. It didn't start yesterday. I dealt with it in Parliament. But like he said, there was the government to talk to. I remember that time, you're sitting there, you get a phone call, plus 218 is coming from Libya. And these are Nigerians in detention centers pleading for help. They'll say something like, they've taken A away. He didn't come back again, maybe it will be my turn. And then we intervened. We got in touch with the African Union, we got in touch with the then President Gaddafi, and they came back. The first set of 25, and then subsequently others came back, and they kept coming back, but there was the government to talk to. But with the crisis in Libya, this has degenerated. Those people that migrated, they didn't leave yesterday. A lot of them have left for years, stuck in that detention center, in various detention centers since crisis broke out in Libya. So that point needs to be made. Since January, I also remember that with NEMA, NAPTIP officials, we came out and said, please, Nigerians, you can't stop migration, whether legal or illegal. As we've heard, you can't stop migration. But we begged Nigerians, appealed to Nigerians, please avoid Libya. No matter how you go, please avoid Libya. Some said, well, are you saying go anyway, but don't go through Libya? You know, so it's been there. It's always been pathetic. But thanks to the CNN that finally showed us actuality, a track-up, a video. And then hopefully it's trending, and hopefully this might be the beginning of a solution to that problem. Yes, leadership is an issue on the African continent. I recall we were in Addis Ababa to talk on this issue, Global Compact on Migration, and it was like, one of the comments I made was, I hope we get to a situation where Africa will be so developed that Europeans and others will be migrating to Africa, not the other way around. Yes, poverty is an issue. It's a very big issue. Jobs must be created, but massive awareness. If Planner had known that what he was going to go through, he would not have gone. If somebody had that, he would not have gone. Planner had a job, but he wanted more. And then he went through hell. So yes, poverty is there. Government must perform its duties, create an enabling environment for jobs to happen. So that is very critical. And the AU-EU, I'm glad that they took it up as a major priority at the last summit in Abidjan, and they've set up a task force to deal with this matter. That task force should have happened like yesterday. So I'm hoping that the task force will truly resolve this issue, because it goes beyond one country. It's actually an AU-EU matter. And there are some detention centers in Libya that you can never get to. Outside Tripoli, you can't even get there. So we don't even know the numbers that are there. because rebels are manning those routes. Those are ones in Suriname, Benghazi, and you can't get there, except the rebels decide to be nice and open those centers. So EU must take it very, very serious with Libya. Open these centers and let the people return. Those who want to return should be allowed to return. And since January, when we raised the alarm about Libya, IOM, NEMA, NEPTIP have been bringing Nigerians back from Libya, and thousands have been brought back. And when they get back, this is what happens. They are profiled at the airport. Edo State comes to the airport, and they take their citizens away after profile. If you're Edo State, they take you to Benin and then get you rehabilitated. And we've had a lot of success stories from those who have returned and have been rehabilitated and actually gainfully employed. One of the girls just called me from Ijebu yesterday. She got her second catering job. You know, she's learned how to be a caterer, and she's now getting jobs to bake cakes. And she was so excited. And there are many stories like that that we should tell to let people know that, you know what, it's tough, but you can survive. Just last week, my driver was somewhere. He was buying some provisions. And then the woman just kept lamenting that she needs just 35,000 naira more to add to the money she's paid some people, that they said once her daughter gets to Europe, her life is made. So he told her that, wait, Madam, haven't you heard all these things about Libya and all that? She said she doesn't know, but all they know is that once her daughter gets to Europe, her life is made. So she was actually looking for 35,000 naira to add to maybe 400,000 or 450,000 she'd already paid. But she said, my driver saved that woman because he went back to her with clips of what is happening in Libya. And he's been able to save one woman from having her daughter embark on that dangerous journey. Yes, there's poverty. It has to be tackled, but there's a lot of ignorance. And we need to deal with that ignorance. Nobody's going to tell you your child is going to Europe to be a drug dealer or a prostitute. We were at the NAPTIP camp just a few days ago with Mrs. Oshibajo and the DG NAPTIP. I mean, you will cry. You see a 14-year-old girl, a 13-year-old girl. One of the girls said she doesn't know how many times. She can't count the number of men that has passed through her. This girl was barely 15. Her mother and an uncle sold her out. There's always somebody who tells somebody to say, sit down there. So there should be massive, massive awareness on this matter. So some just decide they're going back home when they return. They know home and they're going back home. Some go through rehabilitation at the shelters. Those states, like I said, have been taking their citizens. Delta is also doing something. And we're encouraging states to also take their citizens and rehabilitate them. And on the part of the federal government, some that have returned have been enrolled in the Empower program. There's the Anchor Borrowers program, which if you put yourself into cooperatives, you can benefit some money from. There's the JIP program that as they come back, there'll be a number to call. If you want to enroll in the JIP program, you may enroll, but some are looking for a lot more money than that and are not even going to take that opportunity. So yes, there's a lot of poverty. Government must do its own work. Government must provide an enabling environment for the society to thrive. But most importantly, we need to educate our citizens that number one is not green out there. It's difficult being a regular migrant, not talk of being an irregular migrant. And as we've heard on the program, it's getting tougher nowadays. The boats are getting smaller. If in the past, 100 migrants go on the boat, maybe 10 will survive. Now, maybe none will survive. And we have situations where there's so much wickedness that some are actually just drowned deliberately in the sea. So it's important to educate our people that, you know what, it might be tough, but it's not better where you're going. It's like saying because you need money, you're going to armed robbery. Because you need money, you peddle drugs and you think it's acceptable. No. And for every person that goes on that journey, a trafficker is being empowered. A trafficker is getting richer. They are very rich and they are very powerful, the traffickers behind this. So one of the things that needs to be done, which NAPTIP is doing, is these traffickers must be arrested and prosecuted and named and shamed. 30 of them, I think, are in court now. Processes are ongoing and more will be prosecuted. And there's also a whistleblower policy by NAPTIP. If you know a trafficker, please report that person. They are destroying that girl and that boy and that youth, or every other person that goes, and they are getting richer. So yes, there's poverty. A lot must be done by government to ensure that there's an enabling environment in this country for everyone to survive and achieve their potentials. But we need to educate everybody. Those mothers or those people that are encouraging their children to go, if they knew what their children were going to do, I don't think they will. But at the same time, maybe they won't. Some already know and they still do it anyway. So and then we ask ourselves, moral values, family values are totally eroded. And these are things that we should look at as a society and work on. And there's another thing. When we're in Addis Ababa, we learned that some African countries like Niger, they've signed an MOU with the EU. Now, when you get to Libya, you won't even have the opportunity to go to Europe anymore. They're going to send you to Niger. And when you get to Niger, you want asylum, apply for asylum in Niger. So at the end of the day, you'll be applying for that asylum in Africa. So they won't even let you go to Europe. Another thing is that irregular migration can be made regular. That's part of the AU, what the AU-EU discussion should be about. There are genuine people, you need their services and they are working. So you can find a way of regularizing irregular migration if we want to be sincere with ourselves and make the world a better place to live in.
I was just wondering, you know, there are more points that Abike has raised on this conversation. But you saw the Deputy Governor on the screen pop up a couple of times. Deputy Governor of Edo State, Honorable Philip Shwaibu. I just would like you to speak to this very briefly before we take reactions from our viewers. Earlier you were talking about some of the causative factors, poverty and greed. If you were to disaggregate the country's GDP, Edo State is unlikely to be at the rock bottom of states where you have high poverty incidence. And yet, from the figures that we know, last week the governor was presenting his budget and indicated that some 10,000 Edo persons had been trafficked in over a given period of time. 3,000 of them, he also indicated, had died in all of this. Is there a sense of shock in Edo State now with regard to the revelations about slave trade and slavery, and how much more effectively is the task force that your state government now has trying to drive, the sensitization as well as the rehabilitation efforts, plus, seeking to also grab the traffickers and then bring them to justice?
Thank you very much. For we as a state, we are not only shocked with the numbers, though we are aware that programs like this have been on, but we are shocked with the size of the problem we now see today. But what is key is that Mr. Governor is very key in fighting it head-on, and we've started already with the task force and discussing with other relevant agencies, including federal government, because these things are not something that the state alone can handle because of the size that we now have. But what is key is that we are also keyed into several projects, which one of them is the Alcohol program and the agripreneurs and other programs that we feel that can keep these youths at home and for them to gainfully engage. But what is key is that those that have been, that have returned back, and some where we're actually expecting, we've set up a center for them where we'll train them and rehabilitate them so that they can get their life back, because the trauma that they went through also we need to clear that aspect. But I think the Nigerian Immigration Service needs to do its work. It's not acceptable to say that we don't know these characters. The Italian government, from the revelation that we got, that Mr. Governor got when he traveled, it is key that the government, Nigerian government, and the foreign counterpart needs to have a collaboration to track these traffickers, because they know them and they know their trail. Our border is too porous. It's not acceptable to say because we have, you can move around ECOWAS, you have ECOWAS passport, and we leave the security aspect. The security cannot be compromised for a treaty of being a member of ECOWAS state. Assuming a Nigerian person is coming to born Nigeria, you say because he's carrying an ECOWAS passport, he can have direct entry. I think we need to take care of our security seriously. For us in Edo State, we are going through public awareness. Just like Abike Debri said, we need to go to constructize these people, because truly, beyond poverty, some of these people have jobs to do. But the promise of a better life also get them really, entice them, and the greed mentality setting. We think what we are doing now is to get the religious body involved, get the traditional rulers involved, and get every sector of the society, from their word from unit to be involved. So that by the time we engage these people at their unit level, beyond this migration from nation to nation, we are also curbing migration from rural area to urban cities, so that by the time we domesticate these things at the local government and the unit level, and there are something to do at those units, creating jobs, making sure that some of them that are able-bodied and they are interested in agriculture, we engage them in the area of agriculture, also engaging them. Recently, we started a technology of making roads without asphalt, cement roads, another road. We get this youth engaged in learning how to do those pavements. We also get this youth involved in growing grasses that you may not need to grow. You are building a new house, you don't need, you can just go there, buy them, and fix exactly what is being done in Europe. And our people are the ones being used to do this work. So we are getting all this work here. And for some of them that are in this transit camp that we have set up, we are getting starter packs for them to start, especially those ones that are learning trade like fashion designers, hairdressing, and all those. We are getting starter packs for them. We have about 3,500 of them already that are ready to start their life all over again. And we are expecting about 126 of them again by next week. So we are already preparing to not only rehabilitate them, but get them also into the society. But what is key is that the security aspect of these people is key, and we cannot do it as a state alone without collaborating with the federal government. And I'm happy that Mr. President also is key about these issues. And with the collaboration with federal government and our state and other states, I think we will go far. And I'm also happy that Mr. Speaker recently made some pronouncements. So following it up from the executive arm and also following it from the legislative arm, we will be able to tackle it. In Edo State House of Assembly already, we are criminalizing trafficking already. The bill is before the House of Assembly, and we are taking it head on, just like we have taken that of kidnapping to another level. So anybody that is caught, because this one is even more than kidnapping. So anybody that is caught, we are making laws that if one or two of them are prosecuted and dealt with, and houses that are used for such programs are also demolished, we will gradually leave this trade and get back to proper business that are meaningful, that at the end of the day, when you die, you not go to hell. So for us as a state, we are doing all within our own best to make sure that these things work.
The Deputy Governor of Edo State, Philip Schreiber, thank you very much. Let's take reactions from our viewers now. They have sent in their tweets. You can see our Twitter handle there. It's on the screen, bottom left-hand corner at NTA GMN. Habila Zakshi tweets, the AU-EU summit was timely, saying the revelations of modern slavery and slave trade in Libya, but drastic actions are not being taken, and then it's unfortunate.
From Abdulhamid Dora is this tweet: I would like to advise the federal government to embark on a nationwide campaign to sensitize the public about the disadvantages of these trips. I hope the EU summit will address the issue critically.
Dele Jack Solomon tweets, please, there should be no delay in the establishment of the Joint Migration Task Force by the EU, African Union, and the UN. Now, this will save and protect lives of migrants and refugees, as well as accelerate assisted voluntary returns to countries of origin and speed up resettlement.
Hassan Labaran tweets, whatever that is the outcome of AU-EU summit, I pray that God should give African leaders the courage to control it.
Festus Akimboewa, the Libyan migrant crisis was at the top of the agenda of the recent AU-EU Leaders Summit. Now that shows that the world is ready to unite to tackle human trafficking and the shameful slave auctions in Libya. I hope the AU and EU leaders will walk the talk.
From Omogbala on Babs, the CFR is just tweets. I read a lot of Nigerians blame the present leadership for the victims' ugly experience. It's amazing how Nigerians forget history to suit their narrative. crossing of Mediterranean Sea has been on for decades by desperate migrants who hold the opinion that money is easy to come by in Europe. And
Clifford Agugwesi tweets, says the Libyan migrant crisis is an eye-opener. We must not be fooled because the crisis is Libya-specific. Who says that it's Libya-specific? There are all kinds of persons that are used. But let's bring in again Sadiq Adeyemo, a.k.a. Mr. Planner. Mr. Planner, stay with us at our Ibadan Network Studios. Let's get your closing thoughts. What in terms of advice, I mean, that's already inferable from what you have said, but just tell us before you give advice to others who might wish to embark on this journey, why you were in the course of this ultimately, for some persons, deadly journey, each time you woke up or each time you slept, what was going through your mind?
What I do have on my mind is I would like to use this opportunity. Maybe because sometimes I do look at myself like maybe God has, created me to come to this world and to take my time to see something like that, then to come back to my own country and tell my people, to use my own ability, the kind of work that I do, being an artist, to tell my people that it is not going to be easy there. So when I get to Europe, I do talk to myself that as soon as possible, I need to go back to my country. Even when I get to the European, the EU people in Switzerland, because I was in Switzerland, in Zurich, I told them, I said, I want to go back to my country. I was given 6-month stay in Switzerland. I was just on 3 months. Then I went to them myself. I woke up one morning, I go to them, I told them, I want to go back to my country. I think I need to use my talent to tell my people what I've seen here, what I've seen in Italy, what I've seen on the Mediterranean Sea, what I've seen in Libya and on the desert, how it goes. I need to stop my people from this crisis because my people are dying and the future of Nigeria are dying together with it. I think with the little that I have on my head right here, I think I can, stop my people from, embarking on this kind of journey because it's deadly. It's really deadly. So that's why when I came back, I sat myself down and I was like, what can I do to tell my people this story? You understand? I never want to show my face before, but I just want to do this song and let people listen to it. But at the end of it, when Mr. Oshita from IOM called me that I need to, and when I met Ambassador Martins with Honorable Abike Dabiri, they were like, I need to show my face, not just the song alone. I need to let people know that I have seen a lot from this, and I need to tell them, and I need to advise my people or myself about the journey. And when I make the song, No Place Like Home, when I said, no place like home, and when I say no place like home, believe me, there is no place like home. I've seen a lot. There is no place like home. When I said no place like home, my brother and sister, no place like home. So Africans, believe me, we are once. Black skin, pure mind, no race. Traveling by road is fake. Some are lost, some are dead till date, all because they have no faith. So let's stop trafficking of our girls just to make more money overseas. Buckle up wisely and rethink. So let's stand up. Africans leaders, let's stand up. Let's stand up. Together, we can do this. Believe me. And I'm thinking, I'm willing to have a sponsor on this video because I'm trying to work on the video of the song titled No Place Like Home. I have a lot of words inside, keyword, but because of time, no. But I believe visual, because like it was said earlier on, lack of information. We have a lack of information to our youth. Everyone has social media, but not everyone make use of the social media to go on the YouTube or to check on the Google what is happening on the migrant crisis. So I believe everyone with entertainment, our youth out there loves entertainment a lot, and so I think with this platform, it's going to be a very nice one. I've been to Kano with Ambassador Martins last week. I've been to Jigawa on this same migrant crisis. We spoke with like 6,000 Nigerians on the NYSC camp as of last week. And, what I noticed is when I was sitting down somewhere in Kano, nobody knows who I am there. Then when Ambassador Martins was trying to display some visual of what is happening in Libya and trying to put on some speech to let her people know what is going on, I can hear the lady beside me was like, no. See, sir, you have to stop telling me this. You have to stop telling us this. Where are your own children? If I have the opportunity, I will go because we have no hope here. Then I look at the girl. I was like, sister, I would like to talk to you myself. Then I said, actually, I don't have much time, but I can send you my song and I will give you my contact and I would like to talk to you. And I believe when I go on stage to share my own experience with them, she later come to me and she was like, brother, thank you very much. I think with this that I've had, I think Nigeria, we are great. And, you know, looking up to our leaders as well. Because last week, but what we're going to do about those masses that are suffering? So we all need to wake up. Fingers are not equal. Please never give up. Keep aiming to the top. We need our leaders to work on our economy. Empower you to educate, worker salary moderate, hospitality up to date. So we leaders of tomorrow, we're not going to suffocate. If we hit up together, we are going to jubilate. And at the end of it all, we are going to celebrate like we never had.
All right, Sadiq Adeyemo, with the moniker Mr. Planner, well, leaving returning and now an anti-trafficking campaigner. It's good that you could actually have a feel of that. Let's see more of those messages going around the country. Okay, thank you very much. We appreciate your time on the program this morning. Okay, let's get back to...
Yeah, I was just wondering, just before we bring in the Comptroller General of Immigration, there's a point that I would like Ambassador Keshi to speak to. Well, of course, Libya is in the spotlight. Algeria appears to be a no-go area, but again, Morocco was a transit point many years ago. You had people talking about Morocco and Spain. But in dealing with the case of Libya, where we still have thousands of Nigerians who are still trapped, how do you engage with a failed state? You saw what happened in Somalia with the instances or incidents of piracy off the coast of Somalia that went on for a long time. How do you engage with a failed state?
Look, it's not very difficult to engage with a failed state. As you mentioned, Somalia, despite the crisis in Somalia, at one time there was a complete breakdown of law and order. Nobody was in charge in Somalia. But the world was still engaging, Somalia by engaging the various factions. In fact, when I think it was Bike Dabiri was speaking about that it was difficult reaching some other areas.
Beyond Tripoli.
My first reaction was no. If we really genuinely want to get in touch with them, we can. Even the AU can. The United Nations can, because the Europeans can, because they are in touch with all the actors in the quagmire in Libya today. So it is not difficult. It's not as if there is no access. There's access to these fellows, to their leadership, because the world is still engaged with them. The European Union is engaged with them. The Americans are engaged with them because they are all involved in trying to see whether they can put together a national government in Libya. So if we really want to get in touch with them, we can, I believe we can, we can
kick
do
that in. All right, Ambassador Keshi, thanks a lot. Comptroller General of Immigration, of course, you listened to the reaction of the Deputy Governor of Edo State with regard to what he considers to be the responsibility of immigration. Are we likely, to see any change following from this? Last week, of course, there was a meeting called by the Vice President on the heels of the presidential directive with regard to dealing with Nigerians who have been entrapped in Libya. Are we likely to see any change? And are there other potential access routes for the traffickers and their victims other than Kano that we get to know of?
Thank you. I'd like to thank the Edo State Governor
Deputy
Governor for encouraging immigration to do better. But I'm glad to say that if we put all our officers and men at the border, we cannot stop migration. Thank God professors have spoken, Bike Dabiri has spoken. What we need is safe migration and profitable to the people. What we can do and what we have been doing, government has invested this year a lot on patrol vehicles and communication, in terms of having relationship with other countries. This year in June, we hosted meetings of all head of immigration of the sub-region so that we can be able to talk to each other in case we see irregular migrants through our territories. And we're talking also to all the destination countries. We're talking to Italy, we're talking to France, we're talking to Germany, all locations where Nigerians are, so that they can return with dignity and respect. Most of them, they want to return. But the problem is that, except in Libya, where there is a huge crisis, there is a threat to life when you want to come back by any means. But many Nigerians who are in Libya, in Germany, in France, in Italy, they just want to return with dignity and respect. Instead of you to be returned with handcuff, if you have a good jacket, you return in the passenger plane with technical support, they're ready to come back. But when you put them in a cargo plane in a disrespectful manner, they don't like to come back after this long period of time. So I believe a safe border is a safe nation. We'll continue to invest in this. But I would like to tell Edo State government that it takes more than law enforcement action to stop trafficking and smuggling of migrants. We need to educate the people more. Our analysis shows clearly that major cause of huge migration are conflict. Like if you see what happened in the Middle East, there is a huge migration coming up from Middle East to Europe because of conflict or because of climate changes. But other causes of migration in Nigeria is more than poverty. If you look at the indices of those who arrive in Libya, they are not from the poor states of Nigeria. They are not at all. They are not from the poor states.
All right, thank you very much, CJ Immigration. Quickly now, Honorable Osai, the silence from your side has been very palpable. Now, from everything gathered from the speakers' meets with the Italian government, as well as some other areas from the AU summit, there appears to be greater hurdles for us to actually cross, certainly in some of these prospects, as we bring some of the people back home, and even in making sure those that will be settled here are in good shape. What more do we need to do?
I was just going to add to the question my colleague Blessing has asked. In the course of your interaction with the Italian officials at whatever summit or conference or workshop that took place in Italy, did you detect any sincerity, in helping to deal with this human trafficking scourge?
Yeah, I think I do, because most of the issues that were also resolved are issues that have been discussed. Like the Edo State Deputy Governor put it, the issues of creating awareness is one of the resolutions reached and by all. And another issue is, even when you are returning those of them that have issues in Italy, they also need to be empowered in terms of rehabilitating them. And the Italian government have taken it upon themselves to help in resolving most of these issues. I think they are very key. And collaborating with Nigeria, first of all, they were able to resolve issues, because there were issues as of them before Mr. Speaker and the Edo State governor visited Italy. I think that creating collaboration, creating awareness, bringing the two countries to work together is a positive direction. And Italy government making a commitment, the commitment they made that they're going to help Edo State and other states in Nigeria, probably like in the Northeast, as a result of the war, that is going on in Northeast, the crisis going on in Northeast. So a lot of them were part of the people who have also migrated and having issues. And when these people were returned, the issues of also empowering them for them not to make another attempt to go back is an issue that was also resolved.
Okay,
I think it's in the right direction.
All right, thank you very much, Honorable Osai. Okay, Honorable Abike Dabiri, quickly before we go, and briefly too, now the AU Summit declaration spoke of an evacuation plan. How soon do we begin to get to see that? And how will this work?
Well, Nigeria has been evacuating and will continue to evacuate. Tomorrow, another state will be coming in, thanks to the IOM, working with NEMA, NAPTIP, and all that. But the EU really must have done this like since yesterday. And I'll also say that, yes, the AU can, but the AU hasn't. So thank God the Abidjan meeting came at the appropriate time, and I believe that with that resolution, some of these issues will be resolved. There are still detention centers you can never get to. They are manned by rebels. You can't even see them. So unless the AU-EU ensures that all these centers are opened up, we're still going to have issues. So yes, they can, but they haven't. So we're hoping now they will. There are able-bodied men and women kept specially. Those ones are even more expensive than the ones you're seeing. So the AU and EU must impose on Libya to let all our citizens go. Nigeria is ready to evacuate, and there's also a high-powered committee set up made up of various multi-stakeholder agencies, immigration, foreign affairs, NAPTIP, NEMA, Refugee Commission, Office of SSA Diaspora, that are working together on this logistics for that, because you want them to come back and also to be rehabilitated. But even in doing that, if you want to send 3 or 4 planes to Libya, you need a landing permit, and only AU can get that for us. Foreign Affairs is working on that. So hopefully, with the world outrage about this inhumanity to man, we should be coming to the end of this. But I also emphasize that let's each one teach one. Each one teach one. Let one person educate the other person on the dangers and worthlessness of irregular migration. And let traffickers be nabbed. If you know a trafficker around you, report that trafficker. That trafficker is destroying our future. And government, of course, must do what it has to do, provide jobs, create an enabling environment, and let's join President Buhari's fight against corruption. It should be our battle to fight, not just his to fight. Corruption has led us to where we are today. We should never, ever go back to where we're coming from. Those returnees didn't go yesterday or 2 years ago. They've been there for years. But now, thank God there's world attention. Hopefully, every captive in Libya will be set free. And also Nigerians, you're selling our people to slavery right here in Nigeria. Slavery begins from here. We should check our moral values, our social values. We're Africans, we are humane, and we respect humanity.
All right, that's Mrs. Abike Dabiri Erewa, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Foreign Relations and Diaspora Matters. We'd like to appreciate you. You joined us from our Lagos Network Center. And then would like to appreciate the Deputy Governor of Edo State, Honorable Philip Schreiber. Thanks a lot for your contribution to our discussion this morning. You joined us from our Benin Network studios. And earlier we had signed off Mr. Planner, Sadiq Adeyamoye Ritoni, and now an anti-trafficking campaigner. He joined us from Ibadan. And right here with us in the Abuja studios, our thanks to Honorable Osai, Nicholas Osai. He's a member of the House of Representatives, and he was on the Speaker Dogara's entourage to Italy recently. Honorable Osai, thanks a lot for being with us.
Thank you.
Also, as always, appreciation to the former Permanent Secretary, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Joe Keshi. Ambassador Keshi, thanks a lot for your insights.
Thank you.
As well, we appreciate the Controller General of Immigration, Mohammed Babandede. Thanks a lot for your being with us.
Thank you.
All right, so that does it for our discussion segment on Good Morning Nigeria today, and virtually, indeed, that's the much that we can take for the entire program. We'd like to appreciate you for being with us. We're back tomorrow, same time, and that's in the morning at 7 o'clock. My name is Kingsley Osadolo.
All right, my name is Blessing Abu. Also would like to appreciate our viewers for joining us via tweets. Let's do it again tomorrow.